Okay, it's 10 a.m., so we will call the meeting of the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission to order. Roll call.
Commissioners Brown,
Present.
Harris, absent. Herr,
Present.
McCracken,
Present.
Paris, absent. Vice Chair Little, absent. Chairman Mercy,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner McCracken, would you like to lead us in our invocation?
Be happy to.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you to welcome you to this meeting. God, as we begin this meeting, we ask that you would guide our thoughts and our actions so we may have a successful meeting today. We ask for your direction and guidance to everyone in this room who plays a key part in the protection of our community. We remember your words today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. In your name we pray. Amen.
Commissioner Herr, would you lead our pledge?
Remain stand, face to our great flag, and we do all together. Ready? Begin.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our consent calendar. Is there any objection to adopting the consent calendar, approval of the minutes as presented? Hearing none, consent calendar is approved. Commission staff presentations, updates, and reports. We'll start with the LA Sheriff's Department.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Deputy Lawrence Green. I'm your Community Relations Deputy for Lancaster Sheriff's Station. My primary role is to interact with the community and conduct positive community engagement as my detail for the station. Today I'll be going over the city comp stats of Lancaster, May 2023. This has been modified to a shorter version, so I don't talk as much. Let's see. Criminal homicides. Let's start with, we're going to just go over the 2023 category. As you can see, there's a 600% increase. This is gang-on-gang-related type incidents, not deputy involved based off of these stats, as far as just homicides in general. Unincorporated area. So for the year of 2023, we have unincorporated, and then you have the city of Lancaster. Within the city, you have 14. In an unincorporated area, you have 2. Forcible rapes. Within the city, you have 27 for the year 2023. In the county unincorporated areas, you have 4. We have a decrease of 34% over a period of 5 years and a decrease of 20% over a period of a year. We have robberies in the city. For the 2023 year, we have 116 robberies, 5 in the unincorporated area. Aggravated assaults, 396. We're going to have 42 in the unincorporated area. Both of these categories are down currently, which is good. Burglaries in summer, or actually all year, 285 for burglaries. In an unincorporated area, we have 70. 33% down in the city and 7% down in the county. Larceny and thefts, we have 506. 67 in the unincorporated area, also down. Grand theft auto has gone up. 522 grand theft autos over the year, 130 in the unincorporated area. In the unincorporated area, has gone up 217% over a period of 5 years, 75% over a 1 year period in an unincorporated area. In the city, there's a 21% increase in the city over a course of a year. Arson, 14 in the city, 9 in the county. We are up 16% in the city, and we are down 35% in the county. Your total Part 1 crimes consist of 1,880, which is a 5% decrease, and then in the county, 329, 4% increase in crime in the county areas. So one thing I just want to add, the city is doing an awesome job. They're actually trying to get flock cameras within individual neighborhoods. So currently I'll be going to a neighborhood watch tomorrow, and the way it works is attendance. So if I can get six or more households along with them visiting 6 times for these neighborhood watches, then the city's going to provide flock cameras if that neighborhood is willing, entry and exit zones of the city. Because they're so effective, doing this will actually help us as far as activity in and out of the neighborhoods, getting facial recognition for vehicles that are entering and exiting the neighborhoods. This will reduce that 500% for auto theft by tremendously if we can get them throughout the city. I'm working with Rochelle, which is the public safety director for Neighborhood Watch. We work closely on a regular basis, so I'm excited to see the attendance rates on these neighborhood watches and see if they're going to be effective or not. Any questions?
Do we have any numbers that you can present on the flock system and how it's currently working?
Currently, I do not have that, but I can get it for you on the next one. But it's still lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Okay.
So cars are still in and out of the city. This thing still goes off regularly. It has slowed, however, it has not stopped. So, any additional questions? Yes, ma'am. Morning. That's correct. And they also have the ability to do gates as well, but that would be turning a neighborhood into an HOA, which a lot of people cannot afford. The flock system, though, is completely free. There's no out-of-pocket expense to put one on the entry and exit zones of a neighborhood that the community is willing to have. Mm-hmm.
And if communities are interested in it, how do they go about contacting you or?
No, they will be contacting Rochelle, because
Okay.
Rochelle's the one that's hosting all of the neighborhood watches within the city. She's the one documenting and taking action as far as how many people are showing up to these neighborhood watches and how many attendees there are. Once the requirement is met, then the next step is taken as far as getting approval for the actual flock system to go in, which obviously the neighborhood wants, because they are showing up
Right.
to these neighborhood watches.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
How are, with the cameras, how many of these criminals have been prosecuted or brought in for their crimes? What's the success rate on that?
That would be something for the DA to answer, because I can bring them in, but I don't know what the effective charges are and if they are filing. Any other questions? No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Next, LEAP's progress report.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. For the month of May, we were airborne for a little over 60 hours, 167 dispatches. 39% of those were actually tactical. Over to the right, you can see the dispatches that we supported in specific categories, and down at the bottom, those that represent a different shred of those coverages. In May, we covered dispatches between Avenue G and Avenue P, and from 305th East to 170th West. One was relation to a stolen water truck. Avenue J8 and Highway 14 was a fire. 15th West, a burglary suspect detainment, and East Avenue J8, a murder suspect barricade. For the month of June, this represents really a half of the month, a little over 44 hours. 42% of those were spent in tactical deployment, supporting the deputies. Major inspection and service on the airframe, and just normal maintenance on the ground station. Over to the right, again, specific categories that cover the different categories of support. The 19th of June was our last day for airborne operations. Here in the future, we will be maintaining the aircraft in a flyable state for the Department of Public Safety. Okay. Are there any questions that I can answer? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, probation.
Good morning. Couple of things to update you on. We've expanded our mobile resource unit in the community to 4 times, twice in Lancaster and 2 times in the East Palmdale, Little Rock, Lake L area. We've seen an increase of reporting in the community, which has allowed us to have face-to-face contact with people that are being supervised by us in our office. And again, this is limited to the AB 109 office, not the complete probation. We're hoping to expand that. We received a grant recently that will allow us to increase the purchase. I believe there's 5 or 6 more units throughout the county. So where they put them, I have no idea. Hopefully we'll get another one, or they'll increase it into the juvenile sector and also the regular formal probation sector out of the courthouse, so they could actually report the community due to transportation reasons and things of that nature. These are some of the reasons why they say they can't make it to our office. Bus trips are quite long. Sometimes a financial situation or a combination of the two. So we're going out in the community with our mobile resource. So currently we're doing Tuesdays in the Antelope Valley, 2 in Lancaster, 2 in Little Rock, Palmdale, East Palmdale area, Lake LA. And we've been successful. It's about 15 to 20 people on average that are reporting each time we're out for 4 hours. In the morning, due to the heat, we'll probably limit it to the morning from like 9 to 1, just until it gets too hot where the deputies will retreat back into indoors. But it seems to be successful in building on. Bad news. We had a homicide that recently happened on July 4th on Avenue L to a motorcyclist. The person that is allegedly responsible for that was one of ours. We had received the case about 6 weeks ago. He was supervised thoroughly. We've already submitted the critical incident report to the Board of Supervisors through our department. Unfortunately, nothing we could have done any different. It's one of those state laws where the guy had a recent gun charge. He had a long history of criminal behavior, even though he was young, the person that shot the alleged shooter. And it's very unfortunate, and it hits home for us. And so we are, you doubt yourself, what could we have done differently? But unfortunately, in this situation, not much. We only had him for 6 weeks. He was transferred from San Fernando Valley up to this area. We were just trying to stabilize him at the time. And we were at his home. The 2 deputies that went out to his home from our office that were supervising him, one wasn't a partner. On June 28th was the last time we made contact. He was in our office on 6/22. And unfortunately, the contact was not made on the 28th at his residence based on he wasn't home at the time when we did a compliance check. And then we knew what followed after that. So our prayers are definitely with the family of the unfortunate person who passed. But we are working our diligence. Our cases have increased double in the last 6 months. In our office, we went from an average of 20 to 25 to about 45 to 50 now because we've lost deputies to the reassignment. If you follow the news, you can see that our juvenile division is struggling at the moment for multiple reasons that are beyond our control at this level. So they're removing, transferring, reassigning field deputies back into custody, someplace they haven't been, many of them in 15, 20 years. This change, we have organizations at this time that believe in that no juvenile should be incarcerated regardless of the crime. I don't think most of us in this office in this building would agree with that, but unfortunately, it's not our decision. So we've had to go through some multiple changes. Fortunately, the POs that we have working in our office right now are working diligently and stepping up and trying to maintain some type of order within the community. We're just trying to see people as much as we can, but there's going to be a few that will slip through the cracks just because of the double of increase of cases, which is unfortunately not to our liking or in our control. Right now, we're currently at our office. Again, just to we have 373 cases with 9 POs. It looks like about 47 cases due to the ratios, due to that staff shortage I just mentioned. For the month of June, we had 15 violations. We have roughly 10 cases now on GPS. Those are going to be our sex offenders and other type of aspects. And sometimes they're even some of it order, not many in our bureau from our courts. It would be Superior Court here in Lancaster or other regions. It'll be the post-release courts down in downtown. Some of them are being now put on GPS based on severe domestic violence cases. Not many up here, but there's still some. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just trying to keep the morale and spirits up during this unfortunate, like I said, with the Detention Service Bureau, the juvenile division of our department. A lot of stress going on right now. And following the pandemic, it didn't help. So that's where we're at. But we're trying to stay as positive and as active as we can. We did have 15 new cases that were released. I mentioned a while back that we were engaged with the post-release video conferences where we actually are interviewing potential people that are coming to our supervision on video before they are released, so they get a chance to meet their probation officer prior to release from custody. Initially, they were allowing people that were claiming to be transient out here to also be qualified for that interview. We are no longer doing that, just because the transient community, homeless community aren't stable enough so we could interview them and they could end up somewhere else and it still wasn't working. So we removed that possibility. So now we're just interviewing people that are available to have that option, that have some type of stable and confirmed and verified residence. So hopefully that'll be a little better. And that's all I have for now. Questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Go ahead.
I said you're gonna ask.
I knew that.
oh, no.
Because you mentioned about the grants. You guys will receive a grant, so you can hire more officers. How long is the grants good for?
I think it's for this fiscal year, so I think they're in motion to purchase. The problem we're having, like in juvenile hall, is simply this. With the laws changing, if you get a 17-year-old kid that commits murder, for example, he may be sentenced to juvenile hall for 4 or 5 years instead of what used to be the DJJ and things of that nature. They're closing all those options for us throughout the state.
So that is for the basically long
Yeah,
term. You
right.
can make some.
So we
plan.
have a new interim chief has ordered all of us, regardless of rank, from the upper management to their new hire. We are required to do, just starting this month, with 12 hours a month in custody, regardless of title, regardless of position. So they're moving people to try to solidify and stabilize the juvenile situation. So obviously when we post, Peter to pay Paul, something suffers. My biggest concern as a field supervisor and being in this department for 35 years, nobody wins. We are being thin-staffed. We're losing the ability to supervise people as well as we should because we're focusing on our detention and our juvenile division. Imagine this in juvenile hall. You have 23, 24-year-olds now. These are men, mostly male. They no longer will. We went from having 100 people when we had Challenger open in a building, and we could control them, make the school movements, whatever have you, get to their education best we could, things of that nature, to now you have a 23-year-old just saying, I ain't doing it. And if you don't like it, you know, they don't want us locking them down indoors. They have more free access. They can come and go. The monitoring of phone calls aren't as efficient as they once were. It's just a lot of things. We have credible messengers that were, again, my opinion, not the department's, but we have credible messengers that are former gang members, former prison inmates, that are trying to tell us how to run our business that we've done, what I believe was successful for many, many decades. So we have a probation oversight commission that has people that have done 20 years in prison making decisions on how we should do things, and they have the ear of the Board of Supervisors who are allowing it. So it's much grander than we can handle at this time. It's new. It's the way the society is, unfortunately, and it's becoming a very difficult task. So keeping hires, we can hire people. The problem we have is retaining them. You know, people are getting assaulted. You know, you may see them on the news and stuff like that, and it's not the norm in a juvenile type setting. We're not used to being correctional officers where we have to do things. We have fentanyl situations just like any. So the idea and the concept and the thinking is great, but the reality is these young men that are coming to into our custody now, or that never would have been, have brought the prison mentality. But yet we are being forced and asked to supervise them like they're kids, like they're youth. But the behaviors aren't of normal youth that we had in custody at one time for many, many years. So it's a big change, and so retaining new deputies is the most difficult thing. Hiring them is not. They've expedited it, they've made it quicker, background is quicker, everything has been on the fast track to get them in. But if we have a class of 30, we might keep 20% maybe, 6, 7, may last 6 months. So it's a constant challenge to maintain the staffing patterns that we have. They are closing this month, Barry J. Nardoff and Selmar Juvenile Hall and Central Juvenile Hall for multiple reasons that only our upper management can explain to you probably better than I. I have an opinion, but I'll leave it there. However, so Los Padrinos will open down in Downey. So it's just a change. Now, when I say that the juvenile hall in Selmar will close somewhat, they're going to keep all the convicted kids, and those are going to be basically high crimes, the violent crimes, the murders, attempted murders, the rapes. Those type of kids will remain, or young men. Again, we're still in the learning process of having to supervise people that we're not used to. We knew how to do a 16, 17-year-old that was incorrigible. What we have now is much different, and the rules have changed, and we're still adjusting to those rules. And you know, people aren't coming to work because they don't want to lose their job. I mean, it's as honest as I can be about it, you know, and I understand it because I'm there. People are not properly trained or didn't sign up for that. Just imagine having 35 years. I haven't been in custody in 20 of those years, in the past 20 years, yet I'm going back into custody. I don't know who this, I have no rapport with any of them. I was in a building assigned just for my personal situation, 7 kids, all for 187, murder, all mental health diagnosed, 1 schizophrenic. He didn't speak English, so they sent me there because I speak Spanish. And you can imagine the behavior of a building like that. And it's not like, hey, you know, just go do this or just go that. You know, it's hard to take them outside because it's hard to get them back in. Taking them outside is easy. Getting them back in, because they're just so difficult to handle at times. So again, you take someone with 35 years, I could probably get it done. You get somebody with 6 months, it's going to be it's a struggle. So that's what we're facing. It's a big picture, not a little picture, unfortunately. And we're doing the best we can. And I'm losing fine deputies, outstanding deputies in my unit that are being reassigned because they have 10 years in the business, and so they need those people from 10, 12 years back. So they're taking people that are veterans of this job and have earned the right to be in the field, have taken the promotions and be in the field, and not be in the entry-level positions, and they're being sent back based on their deputy status and the responsibility as deputies to assist in this matter. And again, it's been a struggle, to say the least. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that, and I want to say appreciation to our state legislative reps for being here and listen to that, and please take that back to our representatives, because how those policies that are coming out of Sacramento are affecting. Next up, we have the Highway Patrol.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. For our last month, we focused more on proactive enforcement because we found that to be a very effective means to reduce the mileage death rate. And through my own personal experience of working in the field for almost 20 years, it always seems to work. As far as our enforcement contacts, we saw a 38% increase in our overall enforcement contacts for the month of June, with about 33,000 enforcement contacts. That correlated to a 42% increase in our citations issued, a 9% increase in our arrests with over 1,100 arrests, and it's almost a 20% increase in our DWI arrests, or driving while intoxicated. All of those things, we saw a 26% reduction in driving while intoxicated collisions, as well as an overall 6% decrease in total collisions that we saw for the month. We continue to make sure we're doing proactive enforcement with our training and other aspects, ensuring I maximize the number of officers on patrol. As mentioned with the homicide case that happened over the holiday weekend, we actually handled that investigation with our Southern Division Major Crimes Unit responding, conducting that investigation, and we're able to locate and apprehend the suspects involved, and we have already filed charges on those individuals. We are also presently working in an attempted homicide case that occurred on northbound 14 around Avenue S, and we've already located most of the suspects involved in that and are presently working that case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District Attorney?
Good morning. So this will be my last presentation. I got transferred. It's been a pleasure. Micah Piantanita, who's been the assistant head deputy of the Antelope Valley branch, got promoted, and so she's here today, and she'll be taking over for me starting next month. So with that said, for this month, did not file any arson cases. We only filed 3 auto burglary cases. The average per month is 10. So either if the numbers of auto burgs are increasing, then those cases either aren't being presented to our office for filing, or they're being presented and being rejected. We do track cases that are rejected by our office, so if you're interested in that information, we can get that for you. Burglaries, we filed 8 last month for the month of June. Normally, the average is 9, so consistent there. Criminal threats, we filed 7 last month. The average is 5. Drug sales, we only file 3 per month, and that's what we filed last month, 3. Domestic violence was down to 4. The yearly average is 9. Evadings, hit and runs, felonies, we filed 2. That is the yearly average, 2. Felony assaults, last month we filed 13, and that is the yearly average, 13. Felony DUIs, we filed 1, and that is the yearly average, 1. Grand theft, ID theft, we filed 2 last month. The yearly average is 4. Illegal firearms, last month we filed 20 cases involving illegal firearms. The yearly average is 15 per month. Murders or attempted murders, we only filed 1 last month. The yearly average is 2. Robberies, last month we filed 9. Yearly average is 7. Sex crimes involving adults or children, last month we filed 12. The yearly average is 6. I did look at that, and a lot of those were failures to register. So sometimes the sheriff's department will go do a sweep, and they'll get a bunch of people for failure to register. And I did notice a number of cases involving failure to register. There are also a number of cases sometimes where there's a DUI involving a traffic collision, or sometimes not a traffic collision, where there's a child in the car. We'll file a felony child endangerment, and that does go under a child crime. So those are included as well. So there were a number of those as well. So these aren't necessarily child molestations or rapes, although there were some of those as well. Vandalism, we filed 8 for the month of June. The yearly average is 4. The violation of protective orders, these are the misdemeanor violation of a protective order. In a domestic violence case, we filed 20 last month, and the yearly average is 16. So those are the stats. Any questions?
Nope, just want to say thank you so much and good luck.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, echo that. Thank you for always being here and answering questions and getting us that information. Public Safety Director.
Good morning, good morning. It's good to see all of you. It seems like it's been a long time, I don't know. So, we got a lot going on right now. We really do. I'm going to start with, I don't know if you've heard, you probably have, that our captain, John Leckervane, has been moved to another assignment. So what I was going to do is just have Paul come up really fast. Paul is our interim captain, so I want to give him a minute.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Bartlett. I'm currently the operations, or I have been the operations lieutenant at Lancaster Station under Captain Leckervane for the last over 2 years now. I'm currently assigned as the acting captain until the process, or the department initiates the process and establishes the new captain, or possibly 2, is what we're hearing. That in the near future, there'll be 2 captains at Lancaster Station. But it's my pleasure to be here in front of you. I live in the Valley. I've worked here in a patrol status for the last 10 years here at Lancaster as both a sergeant and a lieutenant. And prior to that, I was at Palmdale Station for over 12 years in multiple capacities, from a line deputy, a training officer, to a detective. It's my pleasure to be here in front of you, and we're going to continue to support the deputies here at Lancaster and make sure that we're out there doing effective policing for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. I've known Paul quite some time and have had the pleasure of working with him before, but really closely this past year. He is outstanding, and we're not going to miss a beat. I'm excited about getting to work even closer with him, so there's more good things ahead. I want to share a few things with you. There really is quite a bit going on. We are definitely pressing forward with our hybrid policing program. We've got quite a few things that we're putting into play. We're uplifting the temporary facility we're going to use, which is the Jethawk Stadium. We're going to make that police station capable. We'll be able to do everything out of there until we move into the designated building here, the high school district building. But we're going to make that police station capable, and we'll do everything there except book bodies when arrests are made. We are identifying and purchasing the equipment we need, right down to the vehicles. And we are connected with POST, the Peace Officer Standards and Training, the state agency that oversees law enforcement or tries to give guidance to law enforcement and certifications. So we're already working with them to ensure that as we build up, we're meeting their standards, because the way it works is you become an agency and then they come in and inspect you as you apply to be a part of POST. So we're working with them already to ensure we build what's needed and don't have to make a bunch of corrections. And then we're developing our policy. We've gone ahead and partnered with or contracting with Lexipol, which is a company that provides department policy to numerous agencies. And in fact, the agency I came from, Sierra Madre, we had contracted with them, so I'm familiar with how they work. They're a great program, and they do a really good job at ensuring agency, that the policy for agencies meets all mandates, and that you're constantly updated on legislative changes that affect policy. So, some other key things that are happening, we shut down another illegal after-hours club not too far from here that was opening at night after about 1:30 and running. And we did that. We actually used our drone to assist us in providing cover and safety prior to going in and dealing with that location. But we were able to shut that one down, and it was a problem, and it looks like there was definitely some calls for service and possibly some violence that was associated with that place. We are increasing our neighborhood watch program. In fact, Ken Mann went to a Saturday, I don't know how we got him out on a Saturday, but he went to a Saturday neighborhood watch this past weekend. He spoke about it at the council meeting, and it went really well. He's committed to go to all of our neighborhood watch programs. If you guys ever decide any of you want to go, you are certainly welcome. Just let me know if that's something you desire, and we'll let you know the dates. We'll forecast them, and they're usually not on Saturdays, I'll tell you that. They're usually in the afternoons on weekdays. And our technicians that we hired to lower response times, the station's doing a fantastic job in getting them trained up. They're out there with deputies. They've been in play now, I think, about 2 or 3 months, something like that. And they're getting outstanding training. We recently sent them to fingerprint and I think DNA collection training. So they're going to be able to like we said, they're going to be able to collect fingerprints, and we're going to give them some preliminary crime scene investigation training. So when they roll to certain calls, they can do a brief look at things and decide whether it's something at their level or deputies need to be called in. So the station's doing a really good job with that. And from what I'm hearing, they're all doing exceptionally well. So, we're adding 6 additional code enforcement officers with the new budget. So we're about to start hiring those folks. There is definitely a need in the community for additional code enforcement officers. We've got quite a few issues out there, and we need to expand and grow in that area. And so we're excited about bringing them on. We'll probably start that hiring process here in the next week. And then I just wanted to speak briefly about a problem that, well, it upsets me. So we're having a problem with party houses. And I'm happy to say there's not a lot of them, but there are a couple out there where residents have decided that they're going to turn their houses into an ongoing party house. And there's one in particular over in the J13 area that we are hyper-focused on. And I I have to contain myself not to say what I really want to say about these individuals, but this is a beautiful community, and the folks who are living there have decided that they're going to have parties pretty much 4 or 5 times a week. And these are loud, ruckus, rambunctious parties where they take over the neighborhood and disturb the hardworking residents. We're not going to stand for it. We're bringing everything we can to correct that issue, and we're going to keep you folks advised. We're going to speak with the DA's office to see where they may be able to help us with it, and we're speaking with several other agencies to figure out the correct way to do it. But I want the community to know that if you have this problem, give us a call, because we're going to figure a way to deal with it. If there's one place where you deserve peace, it's in your home, and there's no way that these folks should, I mean, literally 3, 4, 5 times a week, they're giving real loud parties, and even had the gall to tell the neighbors when they moved in, you're not going to like us because we party all day, every day. So I hope they're listening, because I want them to know this city, we're not going to stand for it. The sheriff's department, we're not going to stand for it. We're going to address it.
Is that essentially just like an after-hours illegal club, but in a residential neighborhood?
So it's interesting because some of them are doing daytime parties, and some of them are doing nighttime parties, but they quite often will bleed into beyond 2 o'clock, but since it's a residence, We're not looking at some of the, laws and codes that affect businesses and affect nightclubs, but they are disturbing the peace. We've seen where they're hiring security guards, where they're charging admission, where they're selling alcohol. And it is a serious drain on our sheriff's department, because when they get called out there, they're going to a residence with hundreds of people. Now, we're certainly not saying that folks cannot have parties at their home. We encourage them. You should be able to celebrate at your home. But when you're turning your home into a business and you have zero care or concern for your neighbors, something has to be done about that. So we want people to know that if a problem like this is occurring, because there's been a few around, we want to know about it. Give public safety a call, give the sheriff's department a call. We're working on it together as a team, and we're going to figure ways to deal with it. So that's pretty much all I got. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
After the meeting, I'd like to talk to you about that maybe, and with some of our state reps, because with some experience I've got, there might be some state agency help.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Hey, Commissioners, I just want to reassure you, there was talk about like maybe, the CSOs conflicting with the Sheriff's Department. I just want you to understand that we are working extremely well with the CSOs. We're like so proud of them that they're using our lingo, they're catching on extremely quickly. Their method of work is starting to mirror ours perfectly. And that's just due to the fact they're riding with us, responding to calls for service, and just seeing them adapting so well. I want you guys to have an understanding that this is actually looking very successful.
Great.
That's really wonderful to hear, and actually I'll just take this opportunity to thank you again and all of your deputies for everything you do, working every day and fighting to keep our community safe. Especially right now, I want to make sure you and every deputy at the station knows that.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Okay, legislative reps. Let's start with Congressman Garcia's office. We have Jackie Owens.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Greetings from Congressman Garcia. A couple things, not necessarily public safety related, but probably in the overarching, it could be. Last week, the Congressman hosted a defense forum at Northrop, and he was able to bring to the panel the Secretary of the Air Force, as well as Chairman of the Appropriations Committee. And they met with contractors, both large and small, with the mission and the objective to really find a way to streamline the two parties so that we can equip our warfighters to be efficient, to be financially responsible. But as you may be tracking, China is ahead of us in a lot of things, and so we've got some catching up to do. The takeaway was it was an outstanding feedback I received from a lot of the community partners, including AV College, who has the career tech, and they really want to help meet the needs of our aerospace partners. So we felt very, very good about that. And kind of dovetailing from that, the Congressman was able to secure the largest pay raise for our lowest ranking military men and women. They were coming in, I think I mentioned this last time, about $21,000 a year, a little over $21,000. And with this pay increase, it's going to be a little over $32,000 a year, and which is fabulous on a couple of fronts. One, it's going to help morale and recruitment and retention. Those are all things that we need, again, in our war, in our battle, not our war, but our battle to equip our servicemen and women in hopes of peace through strength. But we have to have those folks on board. And that combined with his military spouse bill that was signed into law by the president, we're heading in the right direction. Got a while, miles to go, but we're heading in the right direction. He's very encouraged by that process. Just on a local level, our office is conducting what we call mobile office hours. So we're in Castaic because our district goes into some of the more rural communities. So our mobile office hours would be Castaic, Lake Hughes, Lake Elizabeth, Acton, Agua Dulce, Juniper Hills, so that we can go into the community and meet with residents and just find out if there's any needs that they have. So it's been very, very effective so far, and it's meant to be folks in those areas, but last night I was in Lake Elizabeth and I had a woman drive up from Granada Hills to meet with me, but I don't know if I just have that attraction and people drive a long way to meet with me or not, but they did come a long way, and it was a great meeting, and we were able to help her out. So I will pause there. I'd love to meet with some of the folks afterwards, so I'm just giving you a shout out. Please give me a second before you leave, and make myself available for any questions. All right, thank you. Appreciate all you do.
Well, just say I really appreciated and was honored to participate in that defense forum, and thank the congressman for doing that. I learned a lot listening to the professional contractors and subcontractors out there.
Yeah, no, it was a good first step.
You know, and I said, well, and part of it that does touch on public safety is talking about making sure that we stay a community that people want to come to, and making sure we're safe is a big part of that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Wilk's office.
Good morning. My name is Jack Danielson. I'm a field rep for Senator Wilk, and I will be the new point of contact here at the commission meetings. Outside of that, my report is pretty short. This Friday is July 14th, which marks the beginning of summer recess. So the senator will be looking to come back in town. So that's really the end of my report. He's just busy in committee this week. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and we look forward to meeting after. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Assemblymember Juan Carrillo's office.
Good morning, commissioners, and again, thank you guys for having us a part of your monthly meeting. Just wanted to, the report is very short, but we got some great news last Friday. I know that you guys are probably aware there's a brand new speaker in the assembly, Mr. Rivas. So he's kind of reformulated a lot of the chairmanships, as well as the hierarchy of folks that work directly underneath him. Assemblyman Juan Carrillo received received a post, which is, a great post, which kind of impacts all cities, local governments. He received the chairmanship of local government committees. And with that, the primary jurisdiction of that committee are the general plan, land use, housing element, local agencies, city and county organizations and powers, special district governance and finance, special taxes. So basically, they kind of foresee and will look at everything in the state of California, and it could be some impacts here of this city and this county kind of being heard in their commission. So that's great news. He also inherits an additional staff for that commission. I think they have eight to 10 people. We will, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be participating in the night outs in Lancaster and Palmdale. Look forward to kind of drop by our booth at there and kind of talk to our reps. I think all of us will be there at that time. We've been very packed with a lot of constituent services, thanks to the partnership of our, partnerships with our state senate and our other assembly areas, which we're kind of trying to work together to make sure that we hit in our state senate, make sure that we hit all the constituent services, anybody that needs help. we're just kind of working and referring them into the correct place. So we've got a good working relationship with our other three entities out there, and I'm pretty proud of that relationship and where we're going with that. But otherwise, I think that's it for my report. And again, thank you guys for having us here monthly. And if any questions, I'll be around too afterwards.
Great, thank you. Okay, Assemblymember Lackey's office.
Hello. The Assemblyman sends a more sobering report than Assemblyman Carrillo. The Assemblyman has been hit with the realities of the position and the uphill battle that he fights every day. And right now, while the Senate bills are coming into the committees, there are a few that were defeated that he wants you to know about. SB 14 was defeated on a party line vote in Assembly Public Safety Committee. This bill by Senator Grove sought to classify human trafficking of minors as a serious felony and to include it in the 3 strikes law. Apparently, in the Assembly Public Safety Committee, human trafficking of a minor is not considered a serious felony because they defeated that bill with only 2 votes supporting it. It is available for reconsideration, so we're hopeful that because it came through the Senate unscathed, it came through unanimous votes, that they will be reconsidering that. But at this point, we have something to think about, that human trafficking apparently is not serious. The Assemblyman's comment was, typical Tuesday with the California legislature. We create safe havens for those seeking to victimize our communities and then act surprised when crime continues to rise. I agree. The Assemblyman applauded the first fentanyl murder conviction in California following the death of a 15-year-old Roseville girl, affirming that those who knowingly ingest fentanyl and die, who unknowingly ingest fentanyl and die as a result have been murdered. This is not just a mistake. This is murder. So that was encouraging for him. SB 122 also passed. Despite the Assemblyman's impassioned speech on the Assembly floor, this trailer bill will prohibit housing developments in areas that impact more than 10 western Joshua trees. Again, our rural communities are being thrown under the bus. And the Assemblyman's quote, rural communities deserve better. He is asking for the governor not to sign this trailer, but let's say he's not real hopeful, but he is asking. So the Assemblyman will continue to fight the good fight, the common sense fight, but unfortunately, we're finding fewer and fewer people with common sense in Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, public business from the floor.
This is the time to address the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. We have one speaker, Mr. Paul.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. You know, you try and hold out hope. It seems like the wheels have come off, and that's why I really appreciate all of the things that everyone in this room does. It must be hard to hold up under that. I have a little different situation. I'm free of it, so I'm able to have my own opinions easily expressed in public, but there's just so much confusion and finger pointing, and respect for the law has diminished, and what do we do about that? I kind of know, but we won't be able to do it. Probation, you were talking about what you're facing. You know, wouldn't it be nice if it was like a Dirty Dozen movie where you take a bunch of raw recruits and turn them into a team? But part of that comes from leadership, and I was heartened this week, last Saturday, Councilman Darrell Doris put on a event where the Sheriff's Department came to explain to local leaders what the situation was with the Winco event. And the maturity in the room really, I left there feeling great because there is hope. If the leaders, the senior leaders, the men and women that know what's going on, get in there and make a difference. And that's all there is. You know, I had the greatest job in the world one time. I've talked about this. It was a bar called Stay Out All Night Disco. And it was in Stone Park, Illinois. The chief of police and the mayor were under indictment by the FBI for public corruption. They sold liquor 24 hours a day, and the place was open till 7 a.m. And the only way you keep the peace in a place like that is to kick some ass. And I don't know how we're going to get to the point where we start kicking some ass, but that's what I want to be able to do. That's the only thing that people respect is fear. If you can't just understand that there's no greater joy than to love and respect the law, of course, the law has to be worthy of that. So there's round and round and round. I saw a thing, a suburb of Atlanta, where the mayor made it an ordinance that all homeowners have to purchase a gun. And the reports are that 89% drop in home burglary. So it's sad that we can't fix things by kindness or compassion, but I want you guys all to know the public is with you, and we understand that sometimes you have to kick some ass. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to what the city is going to do. I'm pretty excited about it. There is some hope. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner comments? Dr. Brown?
You know, I just want to say with a hearing about SB 14, that's really sad. That's really sad. And I think, you know, the community really needs to look at that. And when we complain that there's not any change going on, here's a good reason why. And when it comes time to the polls, people really need to get their heart into it and think about it if they want to have changes with this community. And, you know, people are getting off scot-free, and it's sad. And changes need to happen. So all I do is urge people next time at the polls, keep that in mind.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we will, if there's no objection, we will adjourn to our next meeting.